over here. We're going to look behind this parapet at a triangle that recently had to come off of cabin number 1. That little chain right there is what was holding that up. Chain started to rust and come off. So that triangle had to come down before it fell on someone's head. Because Christian belief was just as important as the Osage belief, here we see a sun in the very center. Now these are 3 working tools that were found on this property. The one to the very left is a tool that was used to sharpen arrowheads. The one in the very center is actually surrounded by those arrowheads, and that's that sun that I just mentioned. Now in the Osage creation belief, the sun is their father sun, the moon is their mother moon. So it's very important that they were able to put that sun on that little triangle right there. And we'll see some more things like a lot of Christian crosses on this house. So both beliefs were on this entire property. The Osage were in this area at one point. We can't say exactly what year, what time frame, because everything is only written basically since the land was bought. So basically everything before then is a mystery except for the artifacts and things that were found on this property. Won't spoil that too much for you. You'll hear it more from him down there. We're going to head over here and look at some of these cabins though. And as we're walking over here, I'll ask everyone to look at this well house. Now this was the original well house for the property, with pipes going into the river inside the cave and then bringing them water to the property. But this river also supplied water to the entire town of Cave City. That was from that well house right across the street. You see it connecting to the fence line right there. And that's the original well house for the entire city. Of course, before we got more people and it's a little too populated, so they had to move somewhere else. Couldn't get the cave water anymore. You'll see those pipes as you go down today. You'll be 250 feet under where we are standing right now. It's not scary. As we're over here though, I did want to show off some of these cabins. Now these cabins, because they were built in 32-ish, in the 30s, they had screen doors and screen windows. They didn't have any bathrooms either. That's a problem, right? Yeah, there was a community bathroom behind cabin number 2 right there. That's where you had to go, the bathroom. So each one had a carport because this was a motor court. See that little green garage right there? That's where they parked their Model A cars. You know how small a Model A car is? Pretty small. So in the 50s, they decided that's just not going to work. And they each had those carports that became their own bathrooms. They also redid these lovely new doors and brand new windows. And then they put a sign right out there by the road that says Cave Court Modern. Still right there. Cave Court Modern. So, cabin number 2 that you walked in to get your tickets today, that's the closest that we've gotten to renovating a cabin so far. That was the one that was falling apart the most. So it was the easiest to demolish and build literally from the ground up. We're hoping to open these up as Airbnbs as soon as they're all finished. If you see these points on the very top though, these are just representing stalactites or mites. Of course ours is a sandstone cave, so those can't form in there. It's too moist. We're going to head over here in front of this porch area and look at some bas reliefs on the house. See if you can just stand right here for me. Right over here. Once we're finished, you're able to come up on this porch and you can get a better look. You're okay. I'm going to show you guys something, okay? I'm going to quiz you. You ready? So this was originally believed to be a Christian cross. My grandparents were corrected. She thought it was a Christian cross when she first moved here, and they told her that's actually an Osage fertility symbol. And in the very top center of it is a large, real stalactite. Now to the top left, I'm going to quiz you guys. You ready? This is called milky quartz. It's the white rock. Those little clear, pointy crystals are called clear crystal quartz. And then the gray rock that looks like a gray sponge, that's called a druzy quartz. Okay? Keep that in mind. is a piece of topaz up here as well. We've had geologists walk around this house and just point out different things, and there's some small details in each of these that you may notice that we haven't noticed or that we may have forgotten about. So you can look at the details, get a closer picture, a better look once we're finished. Over here to my right is a Christian cross. And this one has a large piece of white. It starts with an M. I just said it. Milky quartz. And it's got the gray, spongy looking druzy quartz. And it's got a large clear crystal right there in the middle. At the base here are the 3 largest geodes that are on this entire house, though. This one right at the bottom, that's the largest geode that we have found on this property at all. The one on front is a little bit bigger, but because it was cut in half, or maybe they found it in half, we can't prove either one. It's not as big as this one anymore. So we're going to walk over here. And over here is another Christian cross, which has more of that white, milky, the gray, spongy looking, druzy, and the clear crystal quartz. Yes. And it's got lots of, what are these round rocks? Geodes. Yes. What's inside of a geode? Crystals. Yes, geodes are beautiful crystals on the inside. At the very top is a smaller stalactite, and right beside that little stalactite, you see the one that kind of looks like a finger? That's called a soda straw. And the little shell that looks like a spiral right to the left of that, those are called bubbles. Such professional names, I know. When they told me that, I was like, are you sure it should be called? They said, yes, that's what we call them. So, I'd like for everyone to look at these 2 specialty squares above our heads now. To your right, you see a nice cluster of those clear crystal quartz over here. And then to my right, this one's a little bit harder to see. Look in the very center of the square, right below it. And you'll see what looks like a chest bone, a piece of chest bone. It looks sort of like a chicken, if you've ever cut into a chicken, the chest bone of a chicken. We don't know what kind of bone it is, we just know that it's petrified bone up there. The reason that these are put up high, it's believed that they were put up there because back in the 70s, people would chip things out, take it and sell it. The things way up there, they couldn't reach very well. And if they did, they were on a ladder, they got caught on their ladder. So these were put up high so that no one could reach them and sell them. In the very center, though, you'll see this little downspout, little concrete looking downspout thing. And these are called scuppers. Do you guys know why this was put up here? For the rainwater. So the roof is flat. Some schools still have this actually, but it doesn't look like that, does it? No way. So this is because when the rainwater gets way too flooded, the water pours off these scuppers, and it's only on the front of the house. So not only does it help with the rainwater, it looks like waterfalls coming off the front of the house. And it's beautiful if you want to stand out in the rain and look at it. Over here, some working tools. I'll start with this one right across this little road. So this one right here was found near the mouth of the cave. Because of the size and the shaved off flat top, we can only say that this did have some sort of purpose or meaning for it. We do know that caves were used for ritualistic purposes. When I say ritualistic, I mean like ceremonies. It was for births, child naming, going to war, things like that. So this may have been used for something like that. We just can't say exactly what or for certain what it was used for. Over here we do have 2 working tools. Right here in front of this tree. Now these 2 tools were found out there as well, but they were cemented together long before we got here. Now these are round because they were used to roll in a trough to grind grain. We don't like that they were cemented together, but we do not plan on chipping them apart, ever. We just want to protect and preserve everything on this property. Now these little round rocks right here, we were looking at these. Oh, you're fine. You can sit wherever. These are sitting on geode-covered bases. But these rocks are called concretions. I wanted to ask if anyone knows how a concretion is formed. So a concretion is formed inside of a rock before it's a rock, when it's still just those soft sediments. It forms inside the sediment from a nucleus, and that could mean a pebble or a shell or a leaf is in the very center of these. And then it just forms and forms and forms for as long as it can. But a lot of the time they chip them out, so they just, look at this, you know. So then they chip them out, and we've got some on some columns, and they're just sort of all over the place. It's just an interesting little fact, because my grandparents said, why can't we just call them rocks? And I said, these are important. We're going to go across the front of the house here, though. But as we're walking through here, you can see these arches. I wanted to stop right here first. Now you can see the arches full of geodes. Again, 17 wagon loads of geodes. That's a lot of geodes, and they all have to go somewhere. And you can also see the scuppers going across the front of the house as well. But I like to show off this petrified rock right here, this orange rock. Do you see anything inside this rock? Oh, does it look like an egg? Kind of like a big egg, isn't it? So there used to be an egg-shaped stone that fit perfectly inside this rock. When they first started doing the tours after this place was built, they could take that stone out and they would pass it around to people and put it back in there. One day, they took it out and they passed it around, and we haven't seen it since. That was, you know, back in the 40s though, so it's probably long gone. If anyone finds it, we thank you very much. To the right of that though is a piece of calcite. It looks like ice, doesn't it? Calcite breaks into perfectly straight planes. It's actually one of the hardest rocks to cut, but it's used for cleaning, abrasive cleaning purposes. I've also heard it used for medicinal purposes. I don't know if they probably don't do that anymore, but I'm not sure. But it was used for cleaning purposes. We're gonna head over here in front of this porch area. Here's a better look at that calcite. It looks like ice, doesn't it? Do you see the lines on it? Those are the straight planes. So if you break it, it will never shatter. It always breaks into perfectly straight lines like that. Isn't that cool? There is something in some of these rocks. We'll talk about that in just a second. Is anyone's favorite color pink? I like pink, yeah. Over here is some rosy druzy quartz. These are the only two pieces that have a reddish pink tint to them, right here. Looks like a tooth. It may be a tooth. Right over here is this arch full of geodes. So not only do they go however many across, they also go however many layers back. I haven't sat here to count them, probably should, but I just don't have the patience. So every arch that you see on this house is literally full of geodes. If you look really close at some of these rocks, you'll see a metal hook coming out. That hook is holding up the entire house. So they have metal stakes going through in certain areas, and then there's a wall of a cement mixture, and that's how it's holding up all of these rocks. It's been here since the 30s. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. Over here is some petrified wood. Usually petrified wood is found and it's cut into a log shape. So this is a very unnatural looking log right here on the house. Above that are two knobs of iron ore. At the time there was a war going on and they were mining for iron. So a lot of iron was put on this house. Because this group is so large, I can't walk everyone onto the porch, but behind this column there's a stone that was shaped into a C for carpenter. They were very proud of their work and they wanted to put their initials on their houses. So right back here in this area is that C shape. There are more concretions on these two columns right here, and as we walk through, here's an arch with, surprise, more geodes. Do you see those rocks right above the geodes? Those are working tools. That's Probably just something that fell off this lovely porch area. It's a work in progress. But those working tools, those have a fine point to them, and they don't look like they have a very fine point anymore because of the weathering. It's softened them over the years. Two geodes, you look like they fell out. They did fall out. Sometimes some of these rocks fall out, and we just can't help it because we didn't build the place. So some things do fall out. We just collect them and we keep them. We don't try to glue them back on or anything. So all we can do is just hold on to them and try to protect them. Now these two columns are pretty special. You see that metal hook right there? That's what's holding up this whole house. This one hook. Whoa. But these are two more working tools, and these were used to grind grain as well. That's why this one has a concave surface. There's another one right here with that same surface. Now this gray, spongy looking, what's it called? I'm sorry? No, this is the Druzy. There we go. This is that Druzy quartz, and this is right beside an open geode. You remember those round little balls that we saw over there? That's what they look like on the inside. Isn't that so pretty? You've opened it and they're beautiful, aren't they? Just like that. Right over here to my right, we have all this white, milky quartz. Not crystals, we'll see more crystals though. This is all milky quartz, but there are some brown sections inside this milky quartz. And this is more of that iron ore that was on that column, but these are large pieces of iron ore all over this. This column is connected to the old gift shop. My grandparents named it the gift shop, but before that it was the carport for the main house. So of course they got the biggest carport over here in the main one. So we're gonna head through this hallway, but I have 3 rules, okay? You guys ready? Rule number 1, please watch your step. There are uneven stones. I don't want anyone to trip on a root. Please be super, super careful. Number 2, take your time. You're going to see 3 Christian crosses to your right. So walk slowly and look at some of the details in these crosses, okay? And number 3, tell me about it when you get to the end. Tell me what you see. Okay, follow me. We also ask people, please do not touch anything on here. Some of these things are irreplaceable artifacts, so we don't want to lose those.
That looks like a face. That does look like a face.
One has a face.
That one really does look like a face.
Yeah, it's a face.
I saw one that looked like a face, and I saw something that looked like a snake or a snail fossil.
Snail fossil, did you know that there actually is a snail fossil shell on that front porch? You remember how I said some things you have to look really close to see? I can't really talk about all of it on this little tour. When you walk around on that front porch, it's right by the door. That is a real snail.
It's wet. It's all dry now.
Not much because it's dry.
Huh?
It doesn't work very well if it's dry.
No, it smells like a new car.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was there.
It's weird.
It does look like a face.
Well, I'm just trying to get you out of people's way.
It's
I lived here, I never knew any of this. What she's telling us now since I was a kid. I don't even know if they gave these type of tours other than just the cave when I was here.
I have no idea.
I definitely didn't know about the water pump stuff.
Are we gonna do a national tour?
Yeah, we're gonna go to the cave. I think they just do all this to make it longer than 10 minutes. That's probably all it takes to go through the cave.
Sometimes they do fall out. We wish they didn't, but it just happens.
Like 100 years old, so they're probably gonna fall out.
It almost is 100 years old. That was actually pretty close.
Couple more years and I'll be 100.
A couple more, yep. You'll be about my height, but you're already almost my height. You guys should come back and see it when it is. So we're going to talk about some of the details on these three crosses, but they represent, like I said, Christian belief is very important. This is the crucifixion on the side of the wall. The very first cross that you walk past represents the thief who asked for forgiveness. The center cross represents Jesus, and this third cross is the thief who did not ask for forgiveness. In the first cross, he said he saw some geodes that fell out. Things do fall out, like I said, so that's just natural. The place is almost 100 years old. But in this center cross, you may have noticed some of that clear crystal quartz, remember? In crystal quartz, this represents purity. There was also some pink rose quartz. Did anyone see that? And rose quartz represents love. That's why that cross represents Jesus. This one right here has more of those clear crystals, the druzy quartz, and tons of geodes all over. Did you guys see anything in this one?
Face.
A face. I've done school groups. They yell money. This is an artifact actually that was found on the left side of the opening of the cave down there. There's a large entrance that was made by Mr. Carpenter in the 50s, but the original entrance he'll show you in the first room. This is where that was found. Now there are only 2 of these in the entire world. That's why we ask people not to touch it. You'll get your oils all over it. We don't want to ruin this. The other one is at the Smithsonian. The only difference is a little bit of a size difference. That one's just a little bit smaller. We're not sure if they were made by the same people. We're still researching that. We're trying to get in contact with them to learn more about both of the heads. Besides that, it looks basically the same. It's got 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Now, because the other one is at the Smithsonian, they've expressed interest in this one, as well as National Geographic and 48 Hours. And they want to take it and put up a fake duplicate. We said, no way, because we want to protect and preserve everything on this property. Because it was only moved the one time, we do not plan on moving it ever again. People always ask, is someone going to chip it out? And my grandma says, I live right in that house. If they start chipping, I think I'll hear it. So, but it has a stalactite at the base for a body. It's got 2 pieces of druzy. Those look like little arms. And then it has 2 clear crystals at the top of the head. And these look like horns. So that's why this is believed to be the thief who did not ask for forgiveness. The only thing that we can say that this head was used for is maybe for those ceremonial purposes. I can't say exactly what. We're not sure why they put it in this way with the horns on top, but we can't change that, and that's just history. So while we're over here, though, I do like to show off these last 2 cabins. They look sort of like pebbles, right? They are pebbles. So this is a naturally occurring rock. This happens in high energy places like a riverbed or ocean waves, when all these little pebbles or rock chips are underwater and the water cements them together over and over. And you've got these large pieces. Old timers called this peanut brittle. It's also in the representing stalactites or mites up top. It is a work in progress, so it's sort of a mess over here. But this is an open carport. You could maybe fit a lawnmower in there today. And that's what we got. So very last thing while we're up here, I'm going to ask if you guys see anything on each side of those two windows right over here. Rocks, I think. Yes, rocks. Right over here. Do you guys see anything? Her T-Rex torches, T-Rex teeth. I've heard ice cream cones before. Arrowhead. I heard heart, I think. A tooth? Well, these are torches. These are two flaming torches. You see the orange flames that are coming together in the center? Everything was built on this house with purpose and meaning, as well as everything in that cave that was carved into it. The flame is coming that way, and this one right over here, this flame is coming to the right, this way. Yes. So, back before they had electricity, most people didn't even have electricity in their houses. And this was before they had lamps or anything. But when the natives were here, they would have had to use flaming torches to see inside that cave. Therefore, flaming torches right here. We're going to head over to the gate and line up against that gate area. We're going to talk about that White House like I mentioned earlier. While we're walking over here, though, everything on this property looks sort of like a puzzle. And when Prince Matlock put everything together, he said he knew how to put it together just like puzzle pieces. He chipped everything out himself, and he said he just knew where to put everything. He also said he would work throughout the night and let the spirits guide him. But all the other guys, together, they would work from sun up to sundown for $2.50 a day. So I always have to mention that because no one would do that today. It was a different time, though. So over here, this is called the Dog Trot House. And I'm going to ask you guys, why do you think it's called the Dog Trot House? The breezeway, that hallway, the open center, they didn't have any air conditioning back then, and that was the coolest part of the house. So that's where the dogs would run through. And that's where the dogs would run through, and they could get their breeze. There were some people from out of town. They had never really been to the South. And I said, this is the Dog Trot House. They said, that is the most southern thing I have ever heard. And I said, well, someone else called it a possum trot. So I don't think I'm doing too bad, am I? It's more commonly called a breezeway, though. And these were very popular houses back in the 1800s. This one specifically was rolled in for a mile on logs. In 1886, they placed it down right there. And they built that right half onto it, as well as a large open dormitory up top. That dormitory has about 6 or 7 beds in there, and they would rent these beds out to the workers in Cave City. Like I said, at the time, they might have been renting these beds out mostly to miners that were in town. The original owners were Orif and Arilla Pinkston, and Miss Arilla loved music. We know someone else who loved music right over here. That's because Miss Arilla was Mr. Carpenter's sister. So it's amazing. They could just go see each other whenever. But she could also play all sorts of instruments, and she would teach all of those instruments. She would also, every Saturday, on the last Saturday of the month, she would have a band go out on that front porch and play for everybody. And would come over and they could have cookies and Kool-Aid, she said. The owners now are Max and Jane Mize. They're wonderful people, and they still got the dogs running through the dog trot. So we're going to head through here. We're going to head towards the park area.
We ran down too. It doesn't pretty round to it. There's no roof on part of it anymore.
I'm just gonna go in reverse so you can do the cave and rest for a minute.
An easier way to get down over here so you don't have to do some rock climbing is over here in the grass. Just head over that way. If you feel comfortable though, be super, super careful. And there are some steps on this side. We're gonna head towards that picnic table in the very center. Right through here. Be really careful.
Yeah, it's 7-year-old, be careful, he doesn't understand that.
Yeah, that's why I say it. It's really the teenagers that are
It doesn't look a lot different though, other than, like, they used to have a lot of these in it, if I remember, like all over the park, or at least some type of picnic table. Yeah, I like see one up there.
Yeah.
This is one of the first people who babysat us lived right over there. I spent a lot of time in this park.
Yeah, I think you told me earlier. We'll see if it's the same or not. It's a pretty necklace.
Thank you.
Doggy friendly?
Yeah, sometimes.
Ask him.
I have
Four.
a dog up there in the cabin in the gift shop.
40 years ago, what's your name?
Simpson, Tom Simpson.
I lived here around 40 years ago too, Mark Reeser. So I used to play in this park all the time when I was a kid.
Did you ever know Scott McSpadden?
Yes.
Because Scott's my cousin.
Okay, McSpadden, actually Mary Jane is her mother,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yep.
she babysat us. So,
Okay.
Me
Yep.
and my sister.
Yep, Mary Jane's my cousin. Yep.
Cool.
Ready?
I didn't know if you were talking. I didn't want to.
No, I know. That's why I said something.
He likes to talk, so. And if you do have any questions, he's probably the better one to ask. They've been here since 97 or 95.
97.
She said 95.
Why'd you ask?
Well, I'm not doing the right answer. I don't know. Probably 97 if you said 97.
Well, sorta.
Sort of. Something like that. He's got all the knowledge. I'm just you. So this is the original city park back before they had a city park down the road where they're having the watermelon festival right now. This is where they had their watermelon festivals back in the day. Not that many people, as you can tell. But these are the original picnic tables as well. These are marble tables. That one behind those two trees that I'm pointing at has the original marble slab on top as well. Now there used to be a tree somewhere in that area and a wall right on that wall. Some of you are leaning up against, it's fine. Some of you are leaning up against it. No, you're okay. That just used to be a wall. But when that tree fell, it broke the wall down. And we're assuming that it also broke the top of this table right here. So the rest of that table is right there on the fireplace, cracked apart. It's kind of dark, hard to tell that it's marble. We can't wash any of these rocks or anything just because it has a protective coating on it, and it would basically ruin everything here. So we can't wash anything. They did have barbecues, and this was the fireplace, so there were picnics, reunions, any sort of events. There have been weddings and birthdays held here. Out here in the yard, though, they used to have a barrel with a rope tied to it, and they would use that for little kids as a bucking horse. There's also sinkholes, though, that we have marked off. We're not sure where these sinkholes lead to. If you do walk out there, be super, super careful. We assume that they lead to a crevice in the second room of the cave, and he'll point that out to you. But we can't have anyone crawling back there to find out because it's very dangerous, is all I will say. But besides that, there are some giant rocks across from me, as well as the ones I'm standing on. But those ones across from me, seniors began to take their pictures out there. We're not sure the first year that they did that, but they used to always take their pictures out there. And I recently found out, I'm not in high school anymore, so I had to ask. They said we still do it, but they do it over here now. So we do have one of those yearbooks, I think from 95 or 97, on the history table, but I can't call it the history table because someone yelled at me and said, my picture was taken there. You can't say that. So that's not what I mean, but I'm just saying that we do have one of those yearbooks up there. I do like to point out, though, this giant tree to my right that's kind of growing into the wall, or the rocks over here. And this is the co-champion largest black gum tree in the state of Arkansas. We don't know where the champion is. Maybe one day this will be the champion. We also can't chop it down, count the rings, and date it. So all we know is that it's hundreds of years old, but we can't say for sure how old. Because everything, this property is on the National Historic Registry. That's why we can't chop it down unless it's huge. Why would you want to do that? I think he's ready for you over here at the gate. As soon as everyone's ready, there are some steps over here to your left.
Or you're just gonna hop. I'm scared. You're scared to go in a cave? Right there.
We don't have to. Yeah, but if I don't, then I'll just miss.
If you don't what?
I'll miss it. I've been in a cave one time before when I was like hiding cave, and I didn't really like
Get
it.
a little closer where y'all can hear me. I'm getting old and can't talk well. I'm just kidding. Hey, Letty.
I was just giving out glow sticks back there.
Okay, my name's Dan Kerrigan, and me and my family live at the Rock House that y'all just toured around. I hope you've enjoyed that part of the tour. We're fixing to cool you off now. I know if you're from Arkansas, you understand our humidity and our mosquitoes and all that. Believe me, I sprayed for mosquitoes. I can't help the heat though. But anyway, we thank y'all for coming. Welcome to Crystal River Cave. There's according to Arkansas history, we believe the Osage was the Native American tribe that lived in the cave. According to Arkansas history, there were Cherokee and Osage and different types of tribes, but Osage lived in this area. We believe they lived in the cave, and they loved the cave because of three main reasons. It protected them from the weather, it protected them from their enemies, and it's also got a river in the bottom of it, and they have plenty of water to drink because that was their lifeblood. They left a face here etched into a rock. Here's the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. This face is looking straight up in the sky. They believed it could see in all directions around them. Remember, they didn't have all the gates and the rocks and the walls. They were wide open. So they believed this face protected them and kept them safe. That was their belief. We have three main rules we want you to follow before you go into the cave. First of all, be safe. We don't want nobody getting hurt because Mr. Carpenter put rocks and concrete and steps made out of rocks together. So watch your step and be careful with your handrails. Secondly, please don't go past me because there are some drop-offs and I don't want nobody falling into those, and don't push me. No. Anyway, please be careful. Third, please don't touch anything in the cave because we're trying to let everything form and be live and active and safe, you know, for the cave to grow things. Anyway, the little building we're fixing to go through at one time had thousands of arrowheads, all kinds of artifacts like tomahawks, spears. Mr. Carpenter found them in the cave and put them on display and made like a mini museum. In the 1980s, the place was sitting empty with everything unlocked and everything up wide in the open blues. And guess what happened to all those arrowheads?
They got stolen.
They all got stolen. Nobody knows what happened to them. We have no idea. All we know is they're gone, and that's history, and we can't change history. We did restore the little building about 2 years ago. It was falling in on one side, and we propped it back up and restored it and replaced all the rock work that we needed to. And we made like a mini museum out of it, and all you'll see in there now is a little Native American history as you walk through there. Is everybody ready to get cool? Follow me. By the way, Leslie's going to be at the rear if anybody needs to get out of the cave because of any reason, claustrophobia or weak-legged, she'll help you get out. Or she'll even find a chair if somebody needs to sit down. Follow me, please.
That's pretty. Come over here. Come over here. So the other people can get in.
Y'all getting hot out there?
Feels good in here.
Good. Yeah, we'll take our time. We got plenty of time now. I'm trying to hurry because I knew y'all were out there waiting on us. Where's everybody from?
Colorado.
Wow.
Well, I lived here 40 years ago, so we came back for.
That's where we live now.
In Colorado? Y'all came a long way to go to the Watermelon Festival. Come on down a little further. Watch your head, you tall guys.
I've been through here when it had all the arrowheads and everything.
Oh,
for tall-
really?
Yeah.
You remember it. I ain't joking, him.
I didn't remember it until you said something about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Come on down. Don't be bashful. Don't be shy. We got a pretty good sized group.
Colorado's like 20 degrees.
Outside of Denver, Arvada.
Yeah. Y'all feel the air conditioner?
Oh, okay. I know where that is. Yeah, well now it's Denver Airport, but yeah, it's, well, yeah, they moved it way
It's way out.
now.
Right across the interstate.
Yeah. It's,
In the middle of nowhere now.
These guys are from Colorado. Anybody from farther than that? California. Well, you're farther. You are. Wow. All that way to come to the Watermelon Festival. Ain't that something? Okay, all y'all tall guys, watch your head. It's a little bit low in this room here, but not too bad. Can everybody hear me? Okay. First of all, this is how the town of Cave City got its name, because this is a cave the town's named down, and the United States has got a cave in the middle of it, and people's going over the main highway, and we're going to be going underneath the highway here very shortly. And some people don't even realize they're going over the cave. All them Walmart trucks over our head, they have no idea what river under here either. The only way the Osage could have got into the cave was down that big opening that we came down, and Mr. Carpenter probably made bigger. And they also had an escape route through this entry way here, but it's filled in over time, and erosion has done its job. And we're letting it do that because of safety reasons. But we believe that they also came and gone out of there. They probably did a little crawling or something. The only way they could have gotten down, and we're fixing to take the stairs, drop off that they had to get down. They probably used a rope. Or they went down a natural rock slide over to the right of the stairs around the house, so everything I'm talking about here is more about what I'm talking about. The Osage did leave some etchings on the wall here. At least we think they were the ones that did it. Here we have a buffalo. There's the head and the back. And this is a horse. And there's a man sitting on that horse, holding to the mane of the horse, and that's the feet of the horse, by the way. And the mouth. A while ago, a lady seen a horse down here somewhere. Y'all see a horse? Well, she pointed it out to me, and that's the first time I've ever seen it. There's no telling what she got.
Yeah.
Right there?
Yep.
So, did the Osage do this? I have no idea. All I can tell you is I didn't do it. So it's been here a long time because it's sand. There's three main types of Blanchard